Today we have Jacob, Ari, Tony Wong, and we're going to do episode number 5 of a 6-episode sprint to redesign the This Week in website. Stick around and watch us work. Bienvenidos al episodio número 48 de Esta Semana en la Red. Yo soy José Caballer, el fundador de El Grupo in downtown Los Angeles. It's cada semana. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole show in Spanish. Every week you join us here to watch us work. Today we have Tony Wong, who is an extraordinaire who trained me in Agile. We also have Jacob Pitasi, who is a developer at Stauffer New Media and is doing our Drupal development. And joining us live from Japan, ladies and gentlemen, Ari Guimon, Creative Director Extraordinaire. How are you, Ari?
Good, good. Great to see you guys.
Likewise, it's good to see you. So we're going to do 3 things today in the show. I want to recap the 3 things that we're going to do. Number 1, we are going to have Tony Wong see where we are at. Are we on path? Are we on track? He's going to help us as our Scrum Master. He's also going to figure out how to get to success in this sprint. And he's going to give us, the third thing he's going to do, he's going to give us 3 tips from his article on Inc. magazine, or his an interview in Inc. magazine, on productivity for us as web designers. Really quick, before we begin, I also wanted to talk about the Producers Program. If you're a producer, you know that you have access to talking to us in the back channel. You also have access to all the documents on the Group School Wiki. And you also get, right here at the bottom of the show, sometimes a little ticker comes up with all the people that help support the show. If you like the show, if you're getting value out of it, whether it's someone if you're transitioning careers from whether healthcare or banking or something else into web design, into an amazing career in web design, or whether you're an entrepreneur looking to launch a site, or a developer who's a freelancer, or a design student, whoever you are, joining this is amazing. I'll quote very specifically Matthew Adonis, that he left graduate school because of our show, because he was getting more value. So please join the Producers Program. It's thisweekinwebdesign.com, thisweekinwebdesign.com. If you have any questions about that, you can tweet us at thisweekinweb. There's a URL right there. I like doing this. I don't know why, because it feels like you're interacting with the graphics. Woo. You can tweet us at thisweekinweb, which is our Twitter, again, right here. You can also, on Facebook, like us. Just go to Facebook. You like the show. This is the first time we're watching it. Facebook.com.
We're 2 people away from 300.
We're 2 people away from 300. Come on. 2 people. Can we get 2 people? 2 people. Just say like. It just makes you feel good. Does it mean anything?
I think no.
Yeah, but well, it's not. It does mean something.
It identifies people as fans, and it lets us get back to them.
No, it means you're making an impact.
Making progress.
That people are liking it. Yeah, I like that. It's a measure of progress. All right, so that's the Producers Program. The first thing, aside from that, is now we have questions from our producers. So if you're a producer, again, you can ask us questions Facebook, on the back channel. I'll personally answer the back channel. We'll answer them here on the show. From Robert Haydock, who's one of our awesome producers, and you've seen him here on the show. When scaling in Drupal, how do you handle page loading latency?
Well, with Drupal, it comes out of the box with its own thin layer of caching that you could turn on. That definitely helps performance on your site. It allows you to crush all your JavaScript and all of your CSS into one file, so that way you don't have to load 30 files just to get all the CSS and JavaScript on your site.
Do you know how do you do that? How do you access that? Can you
how do you access that?
Or later?
Well,
or something?
Yeah, it's in the configuration section of the backend admin, and under development there's a section called performance, and right there you can start flicking on different caches and stuff like that. If
Does your host make a difference?
Yeah, I was about to say your host makes a difference. Depending on how many people you're going to be getting hit on your site, you really want to make sure that you have the ponies behind your server.
Like what ponies meaning?
Yeah, sorry, like RAM, CPU, enough computing power. We use rack space all the time in our servers, which allows us to fire off a server, and if we need more, we just say resize, give us more RAM, more CPU.
Is the RAM allocated dynamically, or do they have to really literally go put RAM into a box?
No, it's done dynamically. Just you click the button and it goes out and it finds.
And it charges you more.
For the RAM, yeah, and then you just get charged more, but at least your users have a better
Rackspace
experience.
is awesome. We use Rackspace for a lot. Media Temple and Rackspace.
Yeah. There's also other custom modules in Drupal that you could go find. Just go search Drupal.org.
To do what? To optimize?
To optimize your performance. There's varnish, throttle, different things. There's a couple modules that if you're really just going to get hit, that you could just render a static HTML version of your site so it doesn't have to go back and hit your database.
Got it. So those are things that figure out, that you have a lot of traffic, and instead of serving what's in the database, it just puts some static.
Yeah, just put some static stuff up.
That's
there.
great. So optimizing Drupal for me is actually important because I'm building a business and trying to figure out what platform to use. We've been working in Drupal with you, with Stoffers, and with other developers for a while now. So that's a really great thing to hear. Yeah. That's one of my biggest issues, by the way, with Drupal. Sometimes it's like that loading. Like,
it does, and a lot of times in development, we just have nothing on there because I want to refresh the page and see my changes.
It scares me, but it's
does.
Now seeing stuff in the wild is different. So let's move on to.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert Haydock, for that question. Awesome question. One of my top questions myself. Producer Lars Peterson, new producer.
New producer from last week.
Welcome, Lars. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you joining. Let us know anything you need, any topics you need. So
Lars watched the show live for the first time last week. He was in the chat.
Awesome. Congratulations. I hope he's on today.
I haven't seen him yet, but.
Okay. So any problem with hard-coded links or encrypted codes in Drupal themes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's referring to the way WordPress has it, because I've adopted a few WordPress sites where I go to change something or try to move it from one server to another, and then everything breaks, because what WordPress does is it actually saves a full link to images in the database. So it'll save it to thisweekin.com/myimage.gif, and then you move it to another server, and all of a sudden it breaks, and you have to go through the database to fix it. Drupal doesn't do this. It actually lets you change all of your links on your site as you push it over, and dynamically creates links for you. And so I haven't experienced any problems with this unless I got code from somebody who hard-coded a link on me, but
so this is a dynamic link.
Yeah, it's Drupal allows you to dynamically create all your links, so you never really have to worry about hard-coded links in the database, and changing servers over is pretty easy with Drupal.
One last quick question from my part, somewhat relative to that. I mean, we just finished a pitch today for a large client who has a site already in WordPress,
right?
And they want to keep it in WordPress and expand it, extensively. And I was thinking, wow, this is a perfect site to do in Drupal. They said, oh, we're kind of open, which means probably not open to it because they already have the infrastructure. But if I were to sell them on it, how would I sell them on it? It's a large site with a lot of users, so user membership.
Definitely a thing that we try to at Stoffer is gather what they're really looking for, and then just go out into Drupal and pick a few of them that's like if somebody wants forums or user-generated content or just very specific things that they want on their site, that I could just download the Drupal module and install it, and just them all there. It's gonna take an hour to build that in Drupal. But if we do WordPress, there's nothing out of the box for this piece yet.
Right.
So we're going to have to go through and actually build
something
on that, and that's
you can do a comparison of what's available and what isn't.
Exactly. And I mean, even then, you may find, oh, well, WordPress got it all anyway, so
yeah,
good to go.
So it's a very fine kind of tune kind of thing.
Definitely.
All right. So Tony, I'm going to hand it off to you to kind of ask questions and see where we're at, and help us continue on this sprint.
Sure. So we're in day 5 of a 6-day sprint. So we technically have today left to do the work, and the next episode, another full day. I'm looking at, if we can put this up on the screen, my machine.
So yeah, there we go. We have our cards.
So this is our original planning on day 0, right? And we identified a promise and stretch delineated by this black line. Right? So the idea was that we would for sure come hell or high water deliver the promise, and then hopefully with the strategy of under promise and over deliver, get into the stretch.
Right.
And mind you, this is sprint 1, and I'll get back to why that's important. But so we're looking at the promise, and we had delineated the show page is actually called episodes now.
Yeah,
right?
now it's called episode.
Okay.
So we have shows and episode.
So we had delineated episodes to be done in one day, shows to be done in another day, and then homepage to be done in another day.
Right.
And I emphasize that this is sprint one because we have no data to figure out what was possible. We just put it.
We don't have the first sprint as a measure as to how the team can
Right.
do. So, for example, we did a sprint with Stauffer's team. Now it's a sprint, the Scrum Master for the first sprint, and we made it like 10% shy of our goal. And people are like, "What happened?" So the next sprint, I pushed the team to deliver less and to kind of be more conservative, and then they made the sprint goal. Is that common that people fail on their first sprint?
Yeah, so I don't want to get too complex into this thing, but the whole thing about web design or software development is you can't predict how things are going to turn out. Even if, I've worked with Jacob and I've worked with Ari and you before, even if it's the same team, it's going to be a different website, different client, some different technologies.
Different dynamics.
Yeah, different
dynamics. There was a communication error at the beginning, and that error delayed us half an episode.
Every time it's different.
Yeah.
Right.
But what Agile says is that you can empirically forecast. So there's a lot loaded into those meetings.
Empirically.
But empirically, so when you do things and see how you see the results from doing
empirical evidence.
Empirical
That's
evidence.
What that means. Wow.
Yeah. So that's
English
why I
is my
said
second language.
after this is sprint one, but we did this before sprint one started.
Right.
Now we're into sprint one and we have data on how things are moving.
Yeah.
And apparently our original aspirations or estimates of getting episodes done in one day and shows done in another day and homepage in another day, that was, I don't know, maybe unrealistic, or we didn't foresee things.
We didn't foresee some of the variables. So in our retrospective, which we can do next episode, we can see those. I mean, part of it is that we're showing up for one episode and we're switching from like projects and, okay, what am I doing? And kind of trying to ramp up to that versus pre-preparing and coming in and having that what I call flow of a day, where you get in the flow and you start getting productivity. Here we're forced to kind of it doesn't matter.
It breaks our flow.
It breaks our flow, and that's so today. How do we? The second thing that I promise our viewers: how do we reach success? What are we going to do to make this sprint a success for our client, for Ryan? And
do you mind if I cover one thing before that answer?
Of course, take your time.
Here's the thing about Agile and project management. Most people think that it's all about planning and how well you plan. It is to a certain point, but it's not really. It's about how well you learn from doing chunks of work. So the important thing is not about doing the sprint planning. It's really about doing the retrospective and figuring out what you learned so that you plan better next time.
That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing.
That's
so
a great insight.
Really what's going to come out of this sprint one is what can we do in what time? And if sprint one isn't successful, the fact that we made some mistakes and learned from sprint one will make the entire project successful in sprints 2 and sprints 3, et cetera.
That completely makes sense. And a mistake that I've avoided making is when I have an idea, registering the domain. It's really important. And one of our sponsors is GoDaddy, and you can get 10% off a 40% purchase with the promo code WEB40, which will eventually come up here right below my screen. And wait, let me not cover the group sticker here real quick. All right, there we go. So GoDaddy has I think I've used them now for the last 6 years. So again, 10% off. From
It's $10.
$10.
It's even better.
Good catch.
Better than 10%.
Even better than 10%, which would be $4. My math is amazing. It's $10 off 40. So that's a lot of money.
Substantial, yeah. What did we figure out? We figured out a couple episodes ago that's a significant.
I re-upped my some of my the domains that were what do you call that when they go?
You mean re-register them?
Yeah, re-registering them. Yeah. So yeah, no, I use it.
Awesome.
Tip,
Group
$10.
Foo? Group Foo safe?
Group Foo is safe. Yes,
Excellent.
Group Foo. Again, the promo code is Web40. So don't forget to do that. Make sure to do that.
How about Foo Group?
Food Group?
Foo Group.
Foo Group.
Foo Group.
Sounds like an Asian design company.
You should register both of those.
Man,
Group
now
Foo
you're gonna
and
make
Foo
me
Group.
spend. Well, it's only $7.
Yeah.
For them.
go.
So, all right, let's go back. All right.
So how do we make sure we're successful? So we're going to do 2 things, or 3 things today. We're going to figure out where we need to end up to make our client happy, and then we're going to figure out exactly where we are, and then we're going to see how we connect those 2 dots, which is how we get to our goal.
So technically, this is like a real mid-sprint review.
Yeah.
Like we did a sprint review, I think, maybe the episode before last. All right, so Jacob, do you want to?
Well, how about this? So if we bring this this picture back up on the monitor, we'll see that what we need to deliver is in these blue and yellow cards. And the blue cards are, the big chunks of information like the episode page and the show page and the home page. That's in our promise. And then the yellow cards are the user stories, or what our client, Ryan, would expect to see. Like he'll probably use this list. We'll put this into like Excel, and he'll use it as a checklist to see what we did.
Features and functionality kind of checklist,
exactly,
based on user stories.
So this is where we need to end up in our promise, and hopefully, like I said, I want to cross over this black line into the stretch. We'll see if we can make that happen. All right, so that's kind of where we're going. Now we need to figure out where we are. So Jacob, looking at this, or Ari, can you tell us which of these user stories are done, or can you say all of them are done?
Can you zoom in onto your document? Just Command plus, Command plus, Command plus. And something that I have addressed, and just especially for those of you who are freelancers and who are considering using Scrum, one of the things that I do is try to sell the client on not negotiating features and functionality, but really the gross, so the show page. So if we have to cut out a few things out of the show page to make it work, it's better. Sometimes people, the issue why people are so protective that I've seen is that they're afraid. They're afraid that they're getting screwed, or that they're not getting the value of what they paid for. They're buying the website like if they were buying a washing machine, with all the features and functionality.
But they're maximizing value based off like a bullet point. How many bullet points did I get?
Exactly,
versus
which is
what
not
is the real
really
functionality.
the effectivity. You can build the whole site and have everything not be right for the business. So the features don't necessarily dictate the success. So let's go back to where we're at.
So either Ari or Jacob, on this episodes page, there look like there.
So let's just, I'll read them off one at a time. So which is the episodes page? Go down, go down, scroll down. No, up. I'm sorry, up. So I can see what the show page is.
Yeah, this is the show page.
So that's the episodes. So you have user needs to watch video. Yeah, we have that. User needs to share the video. We have that. User needs to something episode.
Read episode title and description.
We got that. User needs to comment on the video.
Facebook, yeah, we got
Facebook
that.
comment. User needs to faux likes.
FB likes. Twitter likes. Google.
We have that.
Plus one. Actually, I don't think
do we have the plus one? I thought we had a little share this strip at the top.
I know we have a share this strip at the top. But
well, let's confirm that. What's the thing at the bottom there? The task.
That's a task. We don't need to go through this.
Okay, so let's go to the next column, the show page.
So are we good?
I mean, we've got share this, so
what do we have in there?
Much,
do we have?
It has Twitter, Facebook, and then little thing, but it's just
no Google Plus, so probably. Share this has been. I don't think it's a. Well,
yeah.
So we have some sharing.
Right.
We can argue which ones we need, or but let's just say.
that's good.
Yeah,
we
so
double checked, and the episodes page is looking good.
Copacetic.
All right.
So on the episodes page, can you zoom in even a little bit more? Sorry, on the show page.
Episode page. Technically, the show page would be the episode page, and then the shows would be the list of all the shows.
Yeah, got it.
And then
that's perfect. That's exactly it. So can you zoom in a little bit so I can see that first line, or even that, or I need.
User needs to filter video by type.
That.
I don't know if we have any filtering.
I don't think we have any. No, we don't have any filtering yet. We just got the list of the.
So let's go. Can we put your screen on to see what we have? You should be able to go. Oh wait, are you not connected at all? Okay, no, you're not.
Never.
All right, so go down. Keep on going down.
Link to store. Isn't this your writing?
No, it's mine.
No. Link to store with Britney description.
With Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And date aired thumbnail.
Show with description and date aired thumbnail.
Link to show with
it's
description.
basically the thumbnail linking to the show. That's what he's talking about there.
Yeah.
And that do we have that?
Yeah, we've got the
Question,
thumbnails.
Is there any way to share your server, your local server?
Yeah, so
maybe he can.
if you open up, you can open up a browser.
You're going to put in an IP address so that we can actually do that. While you're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about Chrometa.
172.16.
Great.
142.
Oh wait, you guys are talking over my Chrometa
1.13.
spot. Come on.
I apologize
Wait,
for Meta.
we can't do it.
Finish the IP.
172.16.42.
42.13.
Let me know if it shows up. That way you can share a screen. The other day, did I tell the story about being visiting a studio and that Chrometa came up on my machine?
You talked to me, but I don't think we ever talked about it on the show.
I didn't share about it on the show.
That you were actually talking, and they're like, we actually use Chrometa.
I was visiting a studio in Washington, D.C., Tasty Concepts, and I was presenting in the conference room, and suddenly my Chrometa comes up to ask me to put in my time, and I put in what I was doing, and everybody's like, "Whoa, you use Chrometa? We use Chrometa too," and it was a really nice kind of validation, and they didn't see it on the show. They actually just happened to use Chrometa.
Oh, wait, so it was just a happy...
It was just a happy coincidence. So if you go to app.chrometa.com, app.chrometa.com, which might come up here, and the first... just go in there, sign up. Somebody asked me a question, where do I register? Just download the application, and the registration process is in the download process.
Awesome. Yeah,
and it's a local application that is going to track everything you do and give you a report of what you've been working on. So Ari, what's been your experience with Chrometa as a freelancer?
Oh, I love it. I love every bit. I love that it's tracking everything that I'm doing. I love that I can export reports and send to clients in case, they ask me, like, did you really spend as much time as you're saying you did? Which has never happened, but it's good to feel confident that I can do that.
It's a great validation tool. We're doing a demo. The CEO of Chrometa is going to do a demo for the group. Maybe we can Skype or GoToMeeting you into the demo so that you can see it while you're still in Japan. They're going to show us the new features for us as I guess we're getting a VIP tour of Chrometa.
So we can tell everybody else about the features.
We'll show it to everyone after that, Ari.
Ari, does it know that you're in Japan?
Does Chrometa know you're in Japan?
It might see me like surfing crazy Japanese websites. So.
I was like, konnichiwa. It's like, happy Japan time. All right. Let's move on from that.
But one last thing. I like that there's so many tasks that I never tracked before that I now see how much time I spent on, and I never did that before. And I can bill for those hours now, which is great.
What do you mean by that? You mean...
Well, like if I have a PDF open in the background with wireframes that I'm constantly checking, like I never used to track that time, but now I can.
Wow. That's amazing. app.chrometa.com, app.chrometa.com.
It's done a really good job at getting me to consolidate my work, like in terms of what I'm doing. I was surprised by how many times I was like, oh, I was on TweetDeck for 2 minutes, just there, and then I was in Photoshop for 5, and then I was back to TweetDeck for 2 minutes.
That's a really great productivity issue, and I'm listening to a great book that has that. But while we're setting that up here, I think this is a good kind of potential break to talk a little bit about productivity, specifically as freelancers. It's a good transition also from Chrometa. Tell me about your Inc. magazine article. And what do they Google to get it?
It's on the homepage of Inc., and it's somewhere down towards the middle of the page. It reads 7 things highly productive people do.
Nice.
And
so give us the 3 top tips from that.
Top 3.
Tips.
Well,
I'm going to tweet this out.
Picking up on tweeting, which is my number 2 thing. Stop multitasking.
Ooh.
So
yeah,
multitasking. I reference a study done by the University of London, where they tracked people who multitask, and they define multitasking as switching more than from one thing to another more than 10 times in, I think it was more than 10 times an hour.
Oh wow. Yeah, so pretty much everybody who's on a computer almost.
Pretty much everyone. And have you guys heard of this? No. That multitasking makes you dumber than smoking weed?
Whoa.
No? You haven't heard this?
That's a good title for a book.
Yeah, so...
I got to start multitasking.
So
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
That sounds like
stop
everything,
smoking weed or
everything I was taught. Everything I was taught in the 90s was wrong.
So what are the other tips?
Well, check it out. Here, let me finish this one.
Yeah.
So when you smoke weed, it drops your IQ 5 points. When you Say like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
We're learning a lot about everyone on today's show.
So when you,
it's a good thing we're wearing blue to contrast that red of your face right now. So 5 points.
5 points. And when you multitask you switch more than 10 times an hour, your IQ drops 10 points.
Yeah.
So you're twice as dumb as smoking weed.
And we're talking about the fact that
what if you're multitasking?
Wait, here's the kicker. That's an average.
Right.
For women, their IQ drops 5 points.
Oh, wow.
Multitasking. For men, it's 15.
Whoa.
So all the guys in technology
can't do
and coding,
anything.
yeah, just stop multitasking.
The book I'm reading right now talked exactly about that issue, and it actually measured the actual productivity that you do as a worker, as a knowledge worker, and out of an 8-hour day, it's kind of like an hour or something like that. But anyway,
ideal time is, it says, like, out of an 8-hour workday, if you're at work for 8 hours, you only get at most 6 hours of work.
Right.
And I do a lot of work with consultancies and companies around town, and if you really track, it's more like 5, 4.5.
And of that 4.5 or 5, how much of it is quality?
Yeah,
because there's
much.
a lot of rationalization amongst people who sit at a desk and have TweetDeck and Facebook and Twitter.
That's for business.
You can
all that
guess.
stuff, as well as their regular, what they're hired to do. And you can rationalize a lot of time away. That's why Chrometo was actually shocking when I was like, oh man, I should have just sat for 15 minutes and sat on TweetDeck and got what I need to get done, get out of my system, and then go for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
which is my next
2
point.
minutes every 5 minutes.
Which is my next point on how to be productive. You can imagine when people are most productive during the day, which is?
I'd say between 10 and 12 and 2 and 4.
Or most people say like after like 6.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or before people get to work.
Right.
That's because there's no distractions,
distractions,
right?
yeah.
And that's when people really get to work. So you got to be militant about eliminating your distractions. So what I mean by militant is shut down your TweetDeck.
Yep.
Turn off your email if you can, or some people go crazy and turn off their internet access.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually stop the little monkey in your brain saying, hey, check your email.
Right.
Because every time you do, you get a little squirt of dopamine.
Yep.
So you get rewarded.
Exactly.
So that's why when it's 1 click away, you can't stop yourself. You're going to check your email.
Right.
If it's 2 clicks away, now you got a shot.
Right,
Like,
there's a barrier.
if you got to go turn on your wireless and then check your email, you're like,
Yep.
okay, I'll just keep on working.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, because the idea of,
It's like putting the donuts 2 miles away from you, and that way you don't actually eat them. Yeah.
Because the idea of, hey, focus is actually a lack of distraction. It's not an effort of focusing. You can't actually focus. You actually have to
It
remove
works
distractions.
backwards too. Like if you have something that you need to do and you put it right next to you, it's easier to kind of start it versus putting it somewhere else. It's like hiding
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Right.
Awesome. What's the third?
That's what I dig about Chrometo. It's the first step. It's awareness. You're actually like,
Oh, man.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's how much time it
It's
really
awesome. Yeah.
The number one is work backwards from what you have to create, like what the goal is.
What are the total goals? Yeah.
But don't stop it like, hey, I need to create this website. You got to track it all the way back to creating milestones, all the way back to tasks that represent like 4 hours of work for one person, which is exactly what we've done, right?
Right.
We started with, okay, we got to rebuild the This Week in Web Design. We took that big chunk of work, created a sprint's worth of work, and then we created milestones out of that sprints, which is day 1, day 2, et cetera. And then we created user stories, and then we got tasks. So now we break it down into tiny little chunks that will get us there.
If you learn Scrum, if you learn, Agile, how to do this card sorting and how to do these milestones, and it's not a to-do list. A lot of people like to keep a notebook. I have no notebooks anymore. I don't carry notebooks. I just carry index cards, and I poke holes on them, and I put them on my key ring.
That must look really cool.
They look dorky. They need to be smaller and have rounded corners and be a little less flimsy for them to work. But here's my point. My ADD is so strong, the force is so strong with me, that it's hard for me to even like put together like some, as designers, if you're a freelancer or if you're, let's say, a graphic design student and a client asks you to put a proposal together, that's going to be torture to have to put together, spend an hour and a half putting requirements together, doing that kind of thing. I do a goal. What are all the things that I need to put on there? And I do cards and I rip them as I finish them. I learned that from you. I'm done with that one. I put the rip pile over here and I see them get smaller because I'm a visual person. So just seeing the cards get smaller and a pile of ripped ones over here, that's awesome.
You're using the forces to be productive instead of the dopamine squirt from checking your email. You get the dopamine squirt from ripping your cards.
Exactly.
So a little sense of accomplishment.
I'm transferring that. So, all right, here we go.
All right, so did we put the shows, the ability to sort videos by name and date?
So if we finish that particular section, let's just go back. I'll tell you exactly what's done.
We're on my computer right now.
You're on the computer.
So we can actually
So call out the things specifically to
For the show page,
this is the show page.
user needs to filter video by type.
Right, we don't have any filtering on the videos right now.
Okay,
But we have
need
the
to
show
do that.
page.
Yeah, right. Do we have a link to
Like the planning show.
to shows with description and date aired thumbnail?
Don't have date aired. I mean, we have the thumbnail, the title, and or the
Is that an
title-
issue that the content didn't
show
get
and
entered,
the title,
or is
yeah.
it-
And at this point, it's whatever we
Is
get
it one
entered.
field or is this multiple fields?
These are multiple fields.
Okay.
So
Well,
the
let's keep on
YouTube
going.
thumb-
What else do we need?
So that's not there.
No, but
But
we can make it there.
We'll
so.
put it there. Sort videos by name and date.
Again, no sorting or filtering has been put into it yet.
Okay. So there's some work to be on the show page.
Yeah.
What about the homepage? Have you started that yet?
I haven't started that because we just.
Let's go to the
started-
episodes
yeah.
page. So the snafu that we had on the
Episodes
language of
page?
the episodes page, kind of we worked for half a day, and then figure out, and then refigured. I think you were in that episode or not?
Okay.
So let's go to. I want to see the episodes page actually.
All right.
Okay, so this is this the episodes page?
Yeah, so we've got the video,
Oh, or the episode page.
the episode.
Ah, okay.
So
So
then
there's
we
the
got-
video, there's that, and we got commenting on there.
Yep.
A little bit of formatting needs to be done. So if you go back to the show page,
Right. So
That
that's
has
what
the
I wanted
entire
to.
show.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
To
let's go back to see it
finish
again,
up.
just so that I can kind of like make a mental picture. So this is the episodes page,
Yes.
or the show page.
The
sorry.
show page,
Show page,
right,
which has all the
consists
episodes.
of the episodes.
Yes.
Okay. And we can put episode number if we want them there. The episode
Right.
lists. Go up to the top. So that one's the most recent episode.
Right, this is whatever image you guys
Got it.
throw into
Got
there.
it.
So,
So we can put any image up there.
Yeah.
Got it. Including the sponsor on the right side.
right. So I still got to put a little block so we can.
Oh,
stick
did you
it.
separate them?
I haven't. Yeah, I separated it, and I was like,
Oh,
should I
good. So we
keep
can
it
put 'em
together as
independent?
one? I haven't built anything to separate it yet.
Okay.
I
How
just-
about
I cut the
what we
image
said
out.
is to make it quick. We
Just
said
to
just
make
put them as
the
one.
big image, right? So
Yeah.
I'll just cut out the big image and throw it up there.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Again, and that's one of some of the things. If we were launching this because we needed to just have it and then iterate in the next phase, that would meet the business objectives to have sponsors up there. So all right, so the homepage. Let's move to the homepage.
All right. Let's pull up the. I just got a JPEG from Ari.
Awesome. So the challenge in this is, what are the challenges here?
All right, let's see here. I anticipated this top guy, which is just going to be a single image. What does the close guy do here?
Ari's idea, I think. Ari, can you explain what that was?
The thing at the top was just meant to be something large that you could look at as soon as you got to the page. I just looked at all the competitors, and they just had some kind of clear entry point. Now, whether it's an actual snippet of a video or an ad, I mean, that's up to us to decide, but it's just basically like a hero image. I just felt it needed something large to look at when you first got there.
Okay, and then there's a close at the top. So how does the close button work with the X? Like, are we going to shrink it down? Does the background change? Does it just like have like a big dark area right there?
Yeah, maybe the dark area collapses and then that whole thing goes away, kind of like how YouTube is doing it.
I mean, that's not, I don't think that's a priority feature, but it's something that would be nice to have if it's possible. I think at a minimum, having the image up there and then having all the recent shows. So let's talk about, so what I would propose just relative to the sprint and goal is to have, so that you mentioned, Ryan, just let's not do this page so that we can take the time to do it right.
Right, in terms of priorities, if we had to pick one.
How about if we take out the filtering by the 4 quadrants and we just do it?
And that we would actually get the homepage done, or
Yeah.
a version of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great because then we can at least go to Jason and say this is what the entry point for the network is, this is what the entry point for the shows are, and this is what the experience at an individual episode is.
So from a goal standpoint now, the other question is, are the shows there embedded? Those are thumbnails. They're not meant to be the embedded show.
Right.
Correct. If you click on one of those, I would assume it would take you down to the most granular level of that specific show. So if Web Design 48 was the most recent one, you'd click on it and it would take you to that show's
So we're
page.
talking that the most recent shows down here would be episodes?
Yes, yes.
So these would be not shows, but episodes.
Correct, because you would have the most recent one. So you'd have Web Design 48, you'd have the most recent episode of Twist before that, the most recent episode of This Week in Sales before that. So if you wanted to just get as up to date as you could on the network, you would go there. And this serves as the home. We're talking about this serving as the home page for the entire network.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's episodes and it's thumbnails. So the reason I'm saying that is because, Ari, can we redesign that to have the two little dots within the thumbnail, and then we push down the text below that? Right now you have that. And it's actually going to probably not work that way anyway, because we need 4 of those dots on some of them. So do you know what I'm talking about, Ari? So that
Like
you can have
putting
one...
overlaying them on top of the thumbnail?
Right, so no. In the thumbnail, you could do that, but in the thumbnail, you could do that. The issue is that you can see them more on the white or on the gray. So what I would do, I would actually just push the type below the 2 little circles so that it allowed us to put those 2 dots into the thumbnail. We have to hand think of what it is, but we're getting what we want into it. And then you're just basically allowing somebody to upload a thumbnail. So it's basically just uploading thumbnails that link to the shows.
Yeah.
That's all it is there on a grid.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think that's good. I mean, I think having like some information under the title, like some sort of metadata, like the 4 little dots, and maybe like the duration of the snippet of the clip, something. So like a little footer.
well, that's what we were talking about, not having the little dots underneath the thumb, but actually
In the
part
thumbnail.
of the thumb.
Because
Right.
I would provide that then.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is that basically it's fine. You can do it that way too. I'm saying the same thing. The difference is that graphically you have the thumb, then you have a piece of white, the 2 dots, and then the text HTML goes below it. Does that make sense?
Right.
You're cutting the white into the image.
Right.
Okay.
On the This Weekend side, we would have a thumbnail template that would allow you to drop in a picture, and the white would already be part of it, and then we would be able to add the dots on our side, is what you're saying. Correct. So that
Correct.
it doesn't have to be something that's hard-coded into the Drupal backend.
Right. So
Right.
the dots.
Yes, correct.
Then let's get into the dots, because this is my,
You don't have to address the dots. We're putting them in manually.
You're putting them there manually. So how are you putting?
They're in the graphic. So here, I'll sketch it out.
Ah, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. So you're
I think that's
actually
what he was
making the
asking for.
thumbnail graphic,
Yeah.
which would.
And I think that's why he's saying push the
Text
text
down,
so
yeah.
then you
Down.
could still put it in.
Yeah.
We could put the text in through the back
So the
end.
graphic would actually be that big.
Yeah.
No, okay.
It would have white and it would have
Yeah.
the dots in it. And
It's
then
kind of a little bit of a hack in
it's
terms
a hack,
of like.
and the text is like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit more manual. Than
It's manual, but it gets that objective, which
Right,
is a
right,
differentiator,
totally. Exactly.
and all the other. We have a bunch of other networks that have very kind of similar, not similar. We have unique programming. Nobody has
Right.
programming like this, but no other network does that.
Yeah.
As a client, is there any chance to request, on our current version, we have that little feature box that has 4 to 5 images that cycle. I'd love to have that same functionality, but just have that top header be something that slides between 4 images.
So basically,
That's
a
something we
time
talked about
header.
at the beginning. So instead of being one static image that then I change like once a day or whatever, it would have 4 that would be there for the week.
Let me. So I'm like my traditional answers. Let me
me-
look into that,
yeah.
and I'll get back to you.
But it's a fairly standard thing. And the question
yeah,
is time.
definitely.
So we really have basically an hour and 15 minutes left.
As we're negotiating for
developing.
features right now.
Right.
This is what happens at the end
Yeah.
of the sprint. Clients are saying, "Hey, can we do
Because
this?"
I could see as a client, I'm like, oh, you're asking me to do a lot more now day to day on every single data entry point that I have to have a graphics guy go and put in those circles, and that's cool. I like that, but then on my end, like my bargaining, I'd be like, well, can I at least get a feature box that cycles? Like,
So to break the fourth wall, but also to kind of contain it, and you can keep on
Yeah.
working and see where we can get. And have you gotten what you need? Let me stop. I don't want to make any commentary unless
Yeah, so I think we're getting to
you do the negotiation.
what's changing. Well, actually, what's changing is where we're getting to and where we are simultaneously.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I think what naturally happened here was not me doing anything, because remember, this is Agile, so it's not the project manager who's in charge, it's really the team. What naturally happened is communication.
Right.
Right.
And so many people ask me about, hey, how do we get the team to communicate better, or how do we communicate with clients better? The answer is you just have a simple, pretty honest conversation.
Yeah.
Which
And
What
you
just
just
happened
did.
here?
That's why I'm bringing it up.
But we
it
have these
already
conversations with our clients. It's the same conversation during the mid-sprint review.
Yeah, so this was option number 6 that I just wrote just for my own purposes to figure out what we're going to do about this. And I think we're getting to some sort of agreement or revised agreement. And I think there's an understanding from Ryan that, hey, within the context of Agile, we just put a stake in the ground. We're like, we'll do this. But there's a lot of learning. And I hear some understanding on Ryan's side, and he's saying, "Hey, can you make another modification?"
Yeah, totally. So
go ahead.
So I mean, here, so I don't have to worry about. All I got to do is drop in a static image of these 4 dots on the side, and then you guys will dot up the images with the thumbnails. Right. Then I should be able to get a nice little image slider carousel of images for you.
So that gets us to our goal, right? Or
it does. It gets us to our goal. So let's revisit the goal. I mean, I think, did we write it down? I think we had it on the wall.
Did you?
Regardless, what you said earlier, let's show this to Jason as kind of, I think, the pervasive goal. Like here it is in Drupal. Here are some of the new concepts. So what's left of today, what can we accomplish? And then what can we accomplish in next week's sprint?
Right.
Next week's show,
kind of
which is the last
finish, nice little polish on the site. I could get this bottom portion done today, and start getting the top image. Start getting it done. I mean, kind of like.
So let's continue that then. Let's keep on going on that.
I'll keep rocking
you
on
feel
that.
comfortable? I mean, again.
Yeah, I mean, there are other options. We just proceeded with kind of communicating and working with the client to make it work. That's one option. Another popular option with software development is just sheer force, get it done.
Yeah, you crunch time. You work
late
overnight.
nights,
well,
that's an option. Or depending on our budget, we can add more, get more help.
Yeah.
Right. We can fail. And
not meet our sprint goal.
Yeah.
Let's go home.
Or those are just all the available options.
I was
the
up
team
last
can come
night
up
till 4 in the morning working, so going home is an option. I've done all 3. I've done all the options.
All the options, yeah.
All the options. What I've seen work really well is, and specifically in a client that is concerned, they're stressed, they're a manager, they're responding to another stakeholder. They might actually, and I think designers, especially freelance developers, who are not necessarily, no offense, the most kind of client-facing or outgoing, or like being able to do what you do all the time in a pinstripe suit. That conversation and that dialogue doesn't happen, and what you hear from the client is like, no, I want that feature, and the developer's like, well, and they might be upset, they might be tired, they might be, and it's that that hate, or not hate, but that response that emanates from that, and some of you might be able to relate to that when clients are asking for more. Ari, has that happened to you?
All the time.
Does it happen to you with me as a client?
Oh, with everybody, in one way or another.
So how you respond to that, how you respond to scope creep, which is what it's called, how do you respond to a client asking for more? What I've learned to do is to say yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, you never say no, you just try to phase it out if possible, just tell them that, you're trying to get to a certain point and that they can have everything they want and more, but it might need to happen at a later date. Later date and with more money. So you never say no. I hate it when developers and when designers just keep on saying no. Yeah. What we say is yes, we can. Let's prioritize it using the agile process for what you want now, and then when can it get done, and if there is a necessity for more budget, which pretty much most of the time there might be or there is, then you do that and you outline. Now, the question is, that's as expectations change, and would you get upset as a client for the budget changing? I've said it in the show many times, and I'll keep on repeating it. Most budgets are really relative to the skill of the team and the negotiation and kind of the price points. I can get something I can do I'm doing an e-commerce site right now for a small business, a side business, and doing it here might cost me $5K, $6K.
doing it offshore with a team in India. It's it can cost me $600. That's a huge variance, between. So the same thing happens between a boutique and a large agency, or between an individual freelancer and an agency. So people out there who are, if you're an entrepreneur and you're about to start a project, aside from watching the show, go into it already understanding the dynamics of pricing and the dynamics of scoping and how to negotiate that.
How do they get that?
Huh?
How do they get those?
Dynamics of pricing.
Yeah.
They work in the industry for 16 years. And they see
Okay,
it which way.
So that's the quick version.
I've seen all of them. So and now I kind of
Tweet Jose.
Yeah, tweet me and I'll tell you. Actually, join the producers program. I just broke down the entire pricing. Last night I answered. This is my mission in life. My mission in life is to help make your projects painless and to accelerate your career. To accelerate your career where you want to go and reach your goals in 2012. I'm sacrificing everything, meaning I'm stopping and I'm just going to work on this. That's what this is what I really want to do. So you actually participate in that when you ask questions. And I will tell you pricing. You need to price out a client, join the producers program, and I'll do it in the back channel and just kind of price out stuff for you.
But doesn't some of it also come down to like what we did at the beginning, that really long extended handshake that we spent 4 or 5 episodes talking about, that you understand your client's situation and their needs? Because a lot of it might be, you might be working with a manager who talks to 2 or 3 other managers and is responsible to them. So that holding close to the vest, like I need this thing right now, may not because they need it, but because their boss's boss said if anything ships, this has to ship. And if you had that extended handshake, you know that. There's an implicit relationship then.
Yeah, the extended handshake sets the expectations and to some degree almost allows the team to, I think, almost build trust and collaboration.
Right.
I make the mistake very frequently, including in this small side project, to assume that because I am experienced and because I do this every day, that I can forego a lot of those things. Every single time it comes back and it just bites you.
Right.
You have the heated conversation that why didn't you say this? Why? But there's no context for it other than here's some features, here's some functionalities. The business goals, who the users are, none of that is existing. So the only thing you can argue about is features and functionality.
Right.
You have no choice. We have context as to the entire strategic goal of the redesign, so I can talk authoritatively about how to make changes now during the Scrum process and still try to meet our goals because we all know them.
Exactly.
What the network needs. And we're even you and I are using Scrum principles like the retrospective and user experience principles like who is the audience and what are their needs, like we did back in a few episodes, 10 episodes, 15 episodes ago with Jason Calacanis. We're doing that for this show very explicitly.
Which will then be the pattern for the whole network.
Yeah, it helps. It clarifies. What would you call that? Like when we have a profile here, here are the design students, the freelance web developer, the entrepreneur who's working but wants to start a new startup, the career changer who wants to change from one thing to web design or to web development. In addition to like prioritizing our goals, I don't think that has a name other than that's the group OS. That's how we do it.
Yeah, well, another name is like success criteria, something by which to measure our success, right? It's, whether our users, these specific users, are happy with it.
And just as a final validation point, and then, how are we doing on time, by the way?
We got about 2 minutes.
Okay. Harvard Business Review article, I have to email it maybe to you, but I'm reading what it's talking about in terms of structuring a successful. I think the issue was top-run companies. All the principles are the same principles in Scrum, all of them. Yeah. And I read somewhere, the commander's intent. The idea that what we're doing now is we're trying to get these 3 pages done, meaning we're going to capture that hill. But we're replanning how we're capturing that hill if we meet obstacles until we capture the hill. We're not just going straight through. Like I do that when I play Halo in teams. I like just barrel through and and I just get killed. Instead of like, okay, cover, adjust, plan, cover, adjust until you make it.
The funny thing
I suck at Halo. Ari can be a testament to that. Ari, am I good?
Gears of War.
Gears of War. There you go.
The funny thing about doing this and then reading other people or other businesses or other completely different fields is like you start realizing that there's like an immutable law of physics with some of this stuff. Like there's different terminology and there's different slightly changes in the experience, but like we're all kind of talking about the same thing. And there's these different people who've just found a good way to codify it, and they're recognized as the leader in that field for this kind of thinking, this kind of OS philosophy for your life and your career. But that's a fun thing watching this or being a producer on a different show where like, it's kind of strange how you start seeing all these shows talking about basically the same thing. They're just using different ways of describing it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That the language is what changes, but a lot of the principles are universal. Señor, ¿cómo está usted? ¿Listo? ¿Vamos a terminar hoy?
Yes. I am.
I asked if we're finishing the whole site today.
Give me 2 minutes.
And we'll be done.
Yeah.
Well, before we close, I'd like to ask Ari and Jacob if we're going to make it, and if they need anything from me to help you guys make it.
Right now, not really. I mean, if you give me another, hour of a show just watching me tick, tick, tick. Cool. But yeah, I mean, today we talked about a lot of things, and so forgive me, but I'm going to have to go on my own hour and hammer some of this stuff out so we could actually have something for next episode to polish at least.
Okay.
Cool.
Ari, I just need the homepage PSD with the changes talked about today.
So you know what the changes are, right? The ad on the side.
The ad on the side, the little dots underneath the thumbnail, and then some back and forth buttons on the top image, so you can carousel back and forth.
One final note about Agile. What I'm hoping people are starting to see is the fine balance between letting a self-directed, self-managed team reach their goal and ensuring that they do reach their goal. So it's a fine balance of like, hey, can I help? Let's clarify where we are and how to get there, versus me writing you guys and checking up and asking if you're done, which degrades the velocity.
Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Well, with that, thank you, Tony, and thank you for being here and checking up on us. Thank you, Jacob. I know you guys are extremely busy. Thank you for joining us from Japan, Ari. I hope you're having fun and not drinking too much sake. Next week, next week we're going to continue. Next week is the last 1 hour sprint, and we're hoping to make it to our deadline. Should we bring in Jason and show it to him or something on the show?
I think we have that 1 hour to finish, and I think we have a retrospective follow-up presentation.
And then maybe in the new year we'll show it to him on an episode.
Jacob still needs Jacob and Ari both, that last session, that last hour to polish and present and feel like we're all on the same
We're all
page.
ready to go. I agree with that.
Yeah,
that's
I
very
think
good.
you present to me, and then
You're the
Jason.
stakeholder, you're managing, and then we present to the client or to the main stakeholder. All right. So muchas gracias por vernos hoy, y muchas gracias a Chrometa app.chrometa.com. Muchas gracias a GoDaddy. Don't forget that you get $10, not 10%. I messed that up. $10 off on any $40 purchase.
It's an easy Christmas gift.
It's an easy Christmas gift.
You can send it to someone else.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Whatever.
My own domain.
At my own domain. So thank you guys for watching, and nos vemos la próxima semana where you guys watch us work.